Today on Around Kansas, Deb talks about what's coming up around Kansas. Next, we enjoy another short film by Nick Adt about Little Jerusalem, opening October 12th. Then on the front porch, Jamie Bloom and Brandon Bert talk about the Father of Wheatgrass. Ron Wilson has some more poetry. And we'll end with a special interview with Danny Martinez on how science is identifying soldiers that lost their lives at Pearl Harbor, including William C. Barrett, who recently made his way home to Eldorado.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on three main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people, just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Around Kansas. I'm Deb Goodrich, and another Wednesday morning in September. My golly, the year is just flying by. Well, Dr. Jake and I love collecting stuff. Love history, I love stories, and if you know me, you know one of my favorite people, Buffalo Bill Cody. And while we were in Leavenworth, a couple of weeks ago, a month ago or something, I found this gorgeous menu from the Hotel Cody. And back then, let me see, you could get a ham salad sandwich for 40 cents. You could get fresh homemade pies for 15 cents and a Cody fruit salad plate with crispy saltines for 65 cents. No stale saltines in the Cody Hotel. So we've been on the road a lot. We have been doing a lot of stuff for the Santa Fe Trail Association. A lot of stuff going on at Fort Wallace. I know that you've heard me talk about Santa Fe Trail as a new sponsor. We appreciate that on Around Kansas. And of course, one of our sponsors who's been with us for a long time, the Fort Wallace Memorial Association, and we really appreciate Fort Wallace. And we've got a huge event coming up the third weekend of October. It would be the 18th, 19th, and 20th. We have the Smoky Hill Trail Association conference at Wallace, and we've got wonderful speakers lined up. It's just going to be a great, great time. So hope you can come out and join us. If you can't make it to the conference, just come out anytime. We're open all year round. Winter hours are a little shorter, but just check out on Facebook or on the website, and that will give you our winter hours. On October 31st, I will be back in Topeka with my friends at the Civil War Roundtable of Eastern Kansas, and I will be talking about Dr. Turner, Dr. Theophilus Turner, who discovered the plesiosaur in Logan County, Kansas, and he had quite the career in the Civil War before he came out to Western Kansas. So I'm really looking forward to seeing all old friends, dear friends from the Civil War Roundtable in Topeka. Really looking forward to being with y'all again. Then the middle of December 14th, I believe it is, Jake and I are heading back to Pampa, Texas, and we've got great friends down there at the White Deer Land Museum, and I'll be speaking on the Frontier Army at Christmas, and I think they're going to have a big Christmas party. They will be opening a new wing of the museum, so that's going to be very, very exciting. Really looking forward to that. So if you would like me to come and speak to your group sometime, you just tell me what you want me to talk about. I can talk about just about anything. And some of it with some actual knowledge, and bring in some facts every now and then. So you just get in touch with me. If you're having a party, yes, invite me. I would love to come. I would love to show up. And if you don't know what you would like a program on, we can come up with something. There's so much going on around the state, so many cool things going on, just a little bit beyond our borders. So always something cool to talk about. Got a great show. Y'all stay with us.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
In 1821, a trade route was opened from Missouri in the United States across prairies and mountains to Mexico. In 2021, we will mark 200 years of epic conflicts and grand adventures, larger-than-life personalities, and sweeping landscapes. Join us on an historic journey. The Santa Fe Trail lives on.
Find us on social media or santafetrail.org.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about umbrella coverage. Did you know that if you're held liable in any type of accident, the judgment can claim your assets? Please give me a call so we can discuss. 316-945-6733.
Okay, looks like it's time for our tour. Welcome to the Fort Wallace Museum. Here at the museum, you're going to find some really interesting stuff, like our replica stagecoach from the Butterfield Overland Dispatch. We've got facades from the fort buildings. We've got an 1870s flag. There's a plesiosaur that was discovered locally. We've got the Ray pump organ collection. We're a little bitty place with a great big story, and we'd love to have you.
This segment brought to you by the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center in Oakley.
I'm Matt Bain. I'm the Smoky Valley Ranch Project Coordinator, and I went to work for the Nature Conservancy about 4 years ago, and it was really because I just love this place. These places, for me, have always been wild Kansas. These big open grasslands are really the last wild places in Kansas. And there's always been, for me, a sense of wonder about getting out onto those places and exploring them. And the Nature Conservancy really seems to get that. And at the heart of what they're trying to do is try to conserve these places for future generations so that someday my great-grandchildren's great-grandchildren can go and experience what a wild place is right here in western Kansas. Little Jerusalem is really a unique landscape in Kansas. It's really one of a kind. It's the largest Niobrara chalk formation in the state of Kansas. It includes really important habitat for a number of species like ferruginous hawks, cliff swallows, Say's phoebe, and interestingly, Little Jerusalem has the single largest population of an endemic plant, Great Plains wild buckwheat. In cooperation with the seller, the Conservancy is able to take ownership of this incredible property and conserve it forever. The seller felt that the Conservancy was best suited to achieve their long-term vision for the property, which included public access and also just conservation of the unique resources at this place.
Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on 3 main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people, just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about umbrella coverage. Did you know that if you're held liable in any type of accident, the judgment can claim your assets? Please give me a call so we can discuss. 316-945-6733.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
In 1821, a trade route was opened from Missouri in the United States across prairies and mountains to Mexico. In 2021, we will mark 200 years of epic conflicts and grand adventures, larger-than-life personalities, and sweeping landscapes. Join us on an historic journey. The Santa Fe Trail lives on.
Find us on social media or santafetrail.org.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Hi, I'm Jamie Bloom, and today I'm visiting with Brandon Bert. Bert is the co-founder of Amazing Grass, a company that grows organic cereal grasses on his grandfather's farm near Larned, Kansas. The grasses are then used to produce nutritious green superfood products that are sold nationwide. Bert gives much credit for the success of his business to his grandfather, who learned about the value of these grasses from a man named Charles F. Schnabel, who is considered to be the father of wheatgrass.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that most people have no idea who he is now, but he's a really important guy when it comes to cereal grasses. And so just on that note, you know, when I use that term cereal grass, it's really the young grass before it becomes a cereal grain. And so, of course, you know, we all know about, oats and wheat and barley and rye, and, you know, those are all cereal grains. You'd find them in your cereal, among other things. But before they're grains, they're grasses. And what Schnabel did, he was a food scientist, and he and my grandfather worked together at a company called W.J. Small back at, this was in the 20s. Mm-hmm. And Schnabel was an older guy. Grandfather kind of looked up to him. Grandpa was a pretty young guy at the time, and he was sacking alfalfa there. And Schnabel was this food scientist, and he was trying to figure out how he could increase the egg production in hens. And around that time, Industrial Revolution was going on. Americans were craving more eggs, and in the winter months, the suppliers just didn't have enough production to meet the needs. And so Schnabel, theorized, his hypothesis was that it must be something in the hen's diet that would help increase their egg production. Because in the spring and the summer months, they were producing eggs like crazy. It was just really in the winter that they couldn't produce them the same. And so for a couple of years, he tried just about everything. He put different fruits and veggies that he dehydrated in the feed, different grains, just about any type of food he could think of, and nothing really made a significant difference at all. And he was getting frustrated and pulling out his hair, and all of a sudden he kind of realized that in the spring, the summer, the hens are out in the field, in the pasture. They're eating these grasses, and that's when, you know, the egg production was so rich. That's when the yolks were this, you know, bright orange, and, you know, it just, he could tell that there was something to do with the grasses. So on a hunch, he dehydrated some wheatgrass and oatgrass. He put it in the hen's feed, and he ends up getting like a 250% increase in egg production. So it was this huge deal. And, you know, I'm obviously no chicken farmer, but I don't think you have to realize that that's a pretty darn big increase. And so he went on to do a lot of research, and he brought a number of other folks in. There was a guy named Dr. George Kohler. He was at the University of Wisconsin. They also did studies, and they replicated, and they figured out the one key thing with these grasses, and that was that in order to have the maximum amount of nutrition, you needed to harvest just the tips of the grass, just the top, the leafy part, and you needed to do it at this critical juncture right before it jointed, and that was when it transformed from a grass into a grain. It was this critical window. Schnabel patented it. It was called the jointing theory, and it basically proved that, you know, these grasses would have this incredible buildup of all kinds of proteins and phytonutrients and enzymes and amino acids, everything, you know, vitamins and minerals, everything was at its absolute peak right before it transformed into a grain. And then once it jointed and once the grain started forming, then the nutrition would drop off. It was, you know, really like a bell curve, and it would drop off pretty rapidly once the nutrition went into the grain. So anyway, Grandpa learned a lot from Schnabel. There's a lot of research back then in the day, and so even, you know, back then and even today, my uncle now, you know, still subscribes to everything that Schnabel taught us, and that is to, you know, grow it in the right environment, plant these grasses in the winter, let them grow deep into the soil, let the roots soak up all these nutrients all winter long, and then don't harvest them until they're absolutely at their peak of nutrition, you know, again, right before they joint. And so that's still the way that we do it.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
Trust and leadership are critical to success at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center in Manhattan. Just ask Coach Bill Snyder.
People of the Regenerative Center do care about others. I've been highly impressed with those people that have that vested interest and try to help people become better. The center really is a wonderful thing here in Manhattan, first of its kind, and we're on the cutting edge of what lies ahead.
Find out more about the trusted leader in stem cell therapy at kansasrmc.com. Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
This segment brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Cowboys love to train animals. Sometimes the animals can train us. This poem is entitled Horse Training. On a hot summer morning, I walked out to train a young horse we were teaching to ride in the rain. The flies were a-buzzing in the hot morning sun as I walked to the barn with my two little sons. One said, "Dad, you see those two horses right there standing together like they were a pair? They get close together and that's how they graze, but their heads are facing in opposite ways. So the head of the one's by the tail of the other. Why did they do that?" he asked me and his brother. I said, "You're a mighty observant young man, and I'll answer your question the best that I can. You see, there's lots of flies around this cow lot. They're a natural pest that we've always got. The horse uses his tail to shoo off those flies like I do with my hand if the need should arise. But the tail is too short to reach that horse's head, so they've learned they can partner with another horse instead. They can stand close together, one's head by the other's tail, then they can shoo the flies off each other without fail. So that's why the horses stand together that way. Now go in the barn and get 'em some hay." While the boys did their chores, I stopped and I thought, there's a message for me in that lesson I taught. If horses can learn to cooperate too, there's no limit to what we as people can do. There's some things a person can't do as just one. When we work together, so much more can get done. If we partner together, which is really my druthers, we'll share the rewards as we serve each other. It's a mutual benefit that we can treasure if, like all those horses, we all stand together. It was time to begin that pony's training lessons, but I looked at my kids and thanked God for my blessings. At supper that night, my wife says to me, "How'd that training go for the new pony?" I said it went well, but not in the usual way. My kids and my horses taught me a lot today. Happy trails.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
What if sustainability were synonymous with U.S. soy? If energy efficiency, water quality, and soil health help define U.S. soy's value, that future is here, the time is now. To meet end-user demands, the Soybean Checkoff is committing to sustainability that's achievable, worthwhile, and enduring. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
This segment brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook. Let us help feed your family.
A couple of weeks ago, the remains of Seaman William Clayton Barrett were returned to his hometown of Eldorado, Kansas. He left Eldorado in 1940 and joined the Navy, and he was serving on the USS Oklahoma on December 7th when Pearl Harbor was attacked, and he lost his life that day. He was apparently buried in a mass grave on Oahu, and his remains were recently identified, and he was brought home. So I've asked my friend Danny Martinez, who is the historian at the USS Arizona, if he would speak to the experiences of some of those seamen and some of their families and what's going on now in bringing some of them back home.
My name is Daniel Martinez. I serve as the chief historian at Pearl Harbor National Memorial. That's operated by the National Park Service, and I've been an employee of the National Park Service since 1979. The National Park Service has been involved with the casualties that are being recovered from a mass grave at the Punchbowl National Cemetery. One of them was Seaman William Barrett. The process has been rather interesting in this way is because of DNA and the ability of families to volunteer DNA in search of their missing in action and unidentified relative has allowed them to give DNA to the laboratory in Hawaii to search remains that have been recovered from the mass grave that exists at the National Cemetery of the Pacific, better known as Punchbowl. This has been done with the Oklahoma. It's been done with other Pearl Harbor casualties, but significantly they're zeroing in on the Oklahoma casualties, which as a ship, it was the second largest loss of life. 429 lives were lost on that battleship. The USS Arizona was 1,177. And so through this science, we're able to bring to the relatives, not necessarily the primary ones, the moms and dads or the wife, but rather the relatives of these brave men that lost their lives that day on behalf of their country, to rejoin them, to have them identified and not missing in action, but rather on deck, recognized physically now as a person like Barrett that now has a family that can cherish those remains and now intern them. I think that we thought for many, many years that Pearl Harbor was a closing chapter. Perhaps not. The new chapter is science and identification and bringing those lives that were lost that day to the identity of relatives that cherish that memory. Since the summer of 1985, I took a position as a ranger interpreter at the USS Arizona Memorial Pearl Harbor, a National Park Service site. And that was the beginning of my permanent career. In my career, I've seen 3 name changes. We went from the USS Arizona Memorial to World War II Valor in the Pacific National Monument, and recently, as of this year, we are now Pearl Harbor National Memorial. We are entrusted with the history and memory, along with our partners of the Navy that operates the boats that take the visitors to the memorial. We've been involved also with the National Cemetery and the system, and it was called SILHI at the time. This was the identification lab that was located and still is at Hickam Field. And that has been part of this partnership that exists between the Park Service, the United States Navy, and SILHI, the identification lab, in moving us forward to identify or help in identifying the remains not only of American dead, but recently, not that distant, a couple years ago actually, I helped out with identification of a Japanese aviator that was possibly killed at Pearl Harbor.
I'm Deb Goodrich. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you all next time. And in the meantime, I'll be seeing you somewhere around Kansas.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
My name's Karen Cope, and I have multiple sclerosis. When you have MS, on the outside you look great, but you know what's really going on in the inside is chronic body pain, chronic fatigue. And there's lots of days that I'd wake up and say, oh, please God, help me get through this day. You know, after stem cells, Chloe, my youngest daughter, she was asked by my father-in-law, how's your mom doing? And Chloe said, Grandpa, I've never had a mom like this before. Because she was 8 when I was diagnosed, and she really had no other memory of me but being sick. It's really the simple things that we do as a family, like play cards, and to be able to win at cards. You know, they all laugh because I used to repeat myself and say, what hand are we on? You know, where are we at? And it's just been really a true blessing from God, and we're really thankful.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about employee safety and work comp coverage. On your farm, do you ask your friends to come help? Are they considered employees or neighbors helping neighbors? Did you know that you can be held responsible just as if it's a work comp accident? Give me a call, we can discuss. 316-945-6733.
Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agamandkansas.com.